Hi, Opinion members,
Hello.
and welcome to Cellar 304
Yeah.
and your Masters of Wine tasting this cellar, Jacky Blisson, and myself, Louise Wilson. So, Jacky, we have a lot of ground to cover in this cellar. We're tasting, what is it, 156 wines and
25 flights.
yeah, so there's a lot. This is day 3, so
Yeah.
we've done 2 days so far, and we've tasted some fantastic wines. There's so much diversity in this cellar.
Absolutely. We're doing Spain and Austria. So 2 pretty different countries, pretty different styles of wine being made, but amazing values to be found in both countries, I'd say.
It's true. And actually, I think on day 1 you asked me why Spain and Austria together, and I thought that was a really good question. Really, it just adds to the different wine styles, the different grape varieties, and just gives the members more choice. So we thought they really balanced each other and put them in the same cellar.
Absolutely, because in Austria you're going to get white wines from like Gruner Veltliner, for example, is the star grape in Austria, and they're going to be way more crisp and nervy, a lot of tension in the wines there. Whereas the whites you're going to get from Spain, from Rioja, for example, from the grapes like Albarino, Godelo, Verdejo, they'll still have a lot of freshness, but they're going to be a little bit softer than those nervy wines from Austria. And the same with the reds. The reds from, for example, the Burgenland in Austria, you're going to get Blaufränkisch, Zweigelt, grapes like that are going to be lighter, juicy, really fresh and crunchy. And then the reds in Spain, obviously a lot more full throttle from Rioja, Ribera del Duero, places like that.
Yeah, there's so many classic regions in Spain. So you've just mentioned 2 of the powerhouses, Rioja and Ribera del Duero. Let's talk a little bit about differences between the 2 stylistically. So I imagine we'll have both classic regions in this cellar. Some wines showed really well in the last couple of days.
Absolutely.
And for me, personally, I find Ribera del Duero a little bit darker fruit, a little bit more tannic, a little bit more powerful compared to Rioja. Both of them are often based on Tempranillo. In fact, Ribera, I think, needs 75% Tempranillo. And then, of course, the balance is Garnacha, which is Grenache, and Graciano and Mezuela.
So yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. And also in Ribera, because you're sort of up on this plateau, it's quite cool there. So you get a lot of power, but you get a lot of freshness, which you could also get in Rioja. But I find it's that balance of real freshness and muscle from Ribera that kind of sets it apart from Rioja, which can, it ages for quite a long time in oak Rioja, often, especially when you're getting to the Reservas and the Grand Reservas, and that can really soften the wines over time.
Yeah, and we've got some great sparkling wine in this cellar too.
Cavas that are really tasting well.
Cava. So one question I hear a lot is, what's the difference between Cava and Champagne? Well, we can talk about the similarities. They're both traditional method sparkling wines, which means there's a second fermentation in the bottle that ends up on your table. So that's where the bubbles come from. And both are specific to those regions. So Champagne, of course, comes from a specific region in France, and Cava comes from a few regions in Spain. So those are the ways in which they're similar. Grape varieties are different, of course. In Champagne, there's Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. And in Cava, we have some indigenous grape varieties, Xarel-lo, Perlata, Macabeo, and a sprinkling of others. There's, Pinot Noir and Garnacha, Chardonnay is permitted. So different grape varieties and different aging requirements too. So Cava isn't typically aged as long as Champagne would be, but so there's some similarities and differences, so kind of fun to pour them side by side.
Absolutely. And some of those grapes like Xarel-lo, for example, give a real earthiness, almost like a white mushroom quality, which doesn't sound great when you say it like that, but tasted with all the other elements in the wine really gives a sort of grounded earthiness to the wine, which is really interesting.
Yeah, we were impressed with those Cavas on day 1, weren't we? Yeah,
absolutely.
And of course, this is the sherry cellar,
yes.
One of my favorites.
Yes, sherry delicious.
If I had to pick a standout from the last couple days, it would probably be the sherries that we tasted. So we tasted a range of different styles. Manzanilla, the lightest style of sherry there is. We tasted Fino, Amontillado, and Pedro Jimenez, which is like a sweet dessert wine. Oh man,
that's great if you pour it on vanilla ice cream.
Yes, and we were talking about pairings with it yesterday too. So it's really nutty, figgy, raisin. I thought a charcuterie board would be great, with different cheeses and hams. You could really do a lot of flavor with the food because that wine has a lot going on. What about you? What stood out for you?
So much. There were some great Gruners out of Austria. As I said, really, really tensile and crisp. A lot of energy and punch in those wines. And I really love the grape Mencia from Spain. We had some Ribera Sacra that was tasting beautifully. So this is a really fresh, medium to full-bodied red that's got a lot of floral and fruity elements, and also kind of a smoked, meaty undertone, but still really light and fresh and very drinkable.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about for C304, or should we get back to tasting?
We still have 50 wines to taste today, Louise. So I think we should get back to it.
Okay, well, thank you, Opinion members. We look forward to bringing you the wines of C304, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.